A pleasant Tuesday afternoon to our BEU students, BEU faculty, parents, and learning partners. Welcome to IT Security Day, an annual event hosted by the Miriam College Information and Communications Technology Office, dedicated to make us all aware of the importance of protecting our digital presence and broaden our understanding of IT security. We would like to remind everyone that shown on your screen is the Miriam College Data Privacy Notice. If you can take a moment to read it. Let us begin with an opening prayer before we continue with our enriching discussions.
Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Lord, may your goodness and love be present amongst us today. Come bless our gathering with unity, hope, and vision. Lord, we pray for unity. Build in us all a deep respect for one another, so that your church may be one. Lord, we pray for hope. Come stir your hope within our hearts and renew our faith. Lord, we pray for vision. May your vision fill our lives as we seek to reveal your love. We ask all this in the glorious name of Jesus. Amen.
And now may I call on Mr. Jerwin Araos, System Administrator Technology and Support Group for Miriam College Nuvali, for a short video presentation and to introduce our presenters for this event. Mr. Jerwin?
Thank you, Ms. Jazz. Before we dive into the IT security presentations, allow our team to present a video showcasing the highlights of Miriam College Information and Communication Technology Office. Let's take a moment to view the impactful work accomplished by our dedicated ICTO team. And now, we move on to the introduction of our speakers. I am pleased to introduce our speakers for IT Security Day. Our first presenter is Ms. Desha Sabordo, who is an entrepreneurship graduate of our school, Miriam College. She has been in the IT industry for more than 10 years and is currently working for B1G2 Technologies International Inc. as product manager. Ms. Desha will be presenting topics about the most common cybersecurity threat including strategies on securing your workstations and mobile devices. Another esteemed speaker you will hear from today is our very own Miriam College ICT Director and Chief Information Security Officer, Mr. Anthony Garcia. As an expert in IT security and at the forefront of safeguarding our school's digital landscape, Mr. Garcia will enrich our understanding on online identity protection for social media users and securing your email and Google LMS files. Join me in warmly welcoming our distinguished speakers.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So thank you for attending our second session this afternoon. So once again, I am Desha. I will be your conductor for our cybersecurity awareness. So let me just share my screen. Okay. And also, I will be turning off my camera to preserve network bandwidth. Okay. And so once again, before I start my presentation, I'd like to thank Miriam College ICTO for inviting us to conduct this cybersecurity awareness. And I would also like to thank you all for streaming our live session this afternoon. So for those of you who doesn't know what ESET is a cybersecurity company operating for more than 30 years and is helping institutions and individuals enjoy safer technology. So let me just run you through the following topics we will have this afternoon. First, we will discuss what is cybersecurity and why is it important. We will also tackle some of the most common cyber attacks used by cyber criminals. So that includes malware, phishing, and social engineering. And last is we will also discuss how can we practice cybersecurity hygiene. So we will talk about the basic rules on how to stay protected. Okay? So maybe you're wondering, why do you need to attend this kind of awareness session? Or what's in it for you? So we are living in a world where more and more of our business, personal, and social lives are online. Thus, cybersecurity is becoming an important part of our lives. And did you know that the number of cyber attacks in the first quarter of 2021 alone in the Philippines has reached as much as around 1.76 million cyber attacks? And it continues to grow every quarter and every year. And since we are living in the digital age, the question now is, are you ready to take the challenges brought by these cyber attacks? Especially now that we're having our online session or online or virtual learning. What can help you secure your information or your data? One way is through cybersecurity. That is why we are having this session. So, what is cybersecurity and why is it important? Cybersecurity refers to the body of people, processes, and technologies designed to protect your networks, devices, programs, and data from attack, damage, or unauthorized access. So, as you can see here, cybersecurity is not just a software that you just plug in and play and think that you're already safe. Cybersecurity involves more than just that. It's a combination of making sure that everyone or the people in this institution, the students, including the parents, the faculty, are observing safety practices. You have well executed and implemented processes, and the technologies you use are secured. So, this afternoon, we will review and dive in further about the responsibility of each and everyone present in this webinar. Okay? But before that, I'd like to know or I'd like to ask you a question. Why is cybersecurity aside from its spelling, there is a difference now when we talk about security and safety in cybersecurity. So security refers to the way we protect access to our computer stored information. So if you are using an antivirus solution on your computer or on your mobile devices, that's part of security. Okay. How about safety? Safety refers to the behavior while we are using the technology. So that involves everyone's behavior or the user behavior. So these two goes hand in hand. Security will not be enough if the user or the people in this institution is not observing safety practices. So in short, security the purpose of security will be defeated if the user is not observing the do's and don'ts in using the technology. So this afternoon, we will focus more on the safety side. What can you do to help secure your data or your information? Okay. But before that, it is also important for us to know and be aware of the most common cyber attacks that we can encounter every day. So I am sure everyone here in this webinar are using the technology, our internet, devices. No? So these attacks can be encountered every day by every one of us. Okay, so we will discuss what is malware, phishing, and social engineering. Okay, so first, let us talk about malware. So, what is this malware? Have you heard of the word malware before? Okay. So I will be launching our first poll question this afternoon. So if you can see this from your screen, kindly scan the QR code or go to slido.com on your browser and key in the code 3775023. Okay. So once again, kindly scan the QR code or log in or go to slido.com and key in 3775023. Okay, so our first poll question is, which of these terms are you familiar with? Okay, so let me just play or start our poll question. So once again, which of these terms are you familiar with? So this one is a multiple choice, so you can select all the terms that you are familiar with. So from the options, we have malware, virus, Trojan, ransomware, adware, and botnet. Okay, so from my screen, our participants are familiar, no, with most of the terms presented here. Okay, so you can continue selecting or answering our poll question. Okay, so now what are the meaning of these terms? So what is malware compared to the most common virus? Okay, so malware is actually short for malicious software. Okay, so from the word malicious, this is a type of software that does harm to your computer or to your mobile device. It can modify your files, it tries to gain unauthorized access, and cause disruption. So meaning malware is the generic term. And since it is the generic term, it includes numerous threat families, all with different names. There are actually a lot of types of malware present in our digital world. But let me just share with you some of the most common malware that we can also encounter every day. Okay, so maybe you have encountered some of these. You may not just be familiar with its names. Okay, so first is adware. Adware is short for advertising supported software. So this one is designed not to be harmful, but just automatically deliver an advertisement. However, Some adware are bundled with harmful type of software like keyloggers or spyware that are used to gather personal information. So where do we usually see this adware? Have you tried browsing on YouTube and you are using a free subscription? Before you can watch the video that you click, you have to finish watching a 5-second ad, right? So that is an adware. And some of the most common source of adware is built into free software. But it can also be installed on your browser or operating system through a security hole or vulnerability. Okay, so adwares are often found in free software. So just like when we play an online game and we are using just the free subscription, before you can proceed to the next level, you have to finish watching a video first, right? And so that's an adware. Although adware is designed to just deliver an advertisement, once you click on a link or an app that asks you to download this application, it can install malicious type of software. Okay, so for us Filipinos, we have to be careful when clicking free applications or links redirecting us to download free applications because sometimes this free software can cost us our personal information. Okay, so these are some examples of an adware. So you can see adware when you are browsing on a website. So here you can see an advertisement at the bottom of the page or a banner on the side. Okay. Adware is also present on mobile devices. So you can see this like a pop-up notification asking you to download this application. But then again, be careful when clicking links or these CTA buttons or call to action buttons because it may lead you to downloading a harmful software. Okay. Next one is botnet. So from the picture, you can see here that this one is short for robot. Okay. So bot, just like an adware, is designed not to be harmful. So bot is used to perform specific operations or automated and predefined tasks. So for example, bots is used in instant messaging or what we call chatbots. This is also used in when you play an online game. Like for example, you are competing with a computer. So they are using bots. Excuse me. So bots can be harmful when they are used as part of botnets. Botnets are a collection of internet connected devices. So this one use the computing power and resources of those devices for automated tasks that generally remain hidden to the users of the devices. So botnet infections are usually spread through infected programs, such as Trojan horse, which will also be discussed later on. So for us to better understand, I have here an illustration on how this botnet works. So bot refers to the computer which has been infected, and a network that controls these infected computers. That is why it is called botnet, or collection or a network of computers infected by a certain type of malware or the Trojan that we've just mentioned. Okay. So once your computer has been infected with this Trojan, your computer will be turned into a zombie. Okay. So in cybersecurity, computers infected with Trojan and computers used as part of botnets is called a zombie. Okay. So they are supposed to be not working, but since they have been infected with a malware, they can still perform a task. Okay? Because they are being controlled by a third party or the cyber criminal. Okay? And what does a cyber criminal need to control your device? They only need internet connection. Okay, so you can be here in the Philippines, in Manila, but your attacker or your cyber criminal can be outside the country because it only needs an internet connection to control your devices. And what will happen if your computer is now part of a botnet? Your computer can be used to send spam or make queries to overload websites or pretty much any other malicious activity. Okay? And this happens without your consent or without your knowledge. So you're not aware that your computer is sending out spam messages with malicious contents to your recipients or to your friends. Okay? So what does programmers or software developers use to identify if you are really the one using your computer or your device? Programmers use this type of program. Do you know what this do you know what this is? This one is called CAPTCHA. Okay, and I'm sure you also encounter this one when you try to log into your account. So CAPTCHA is actually short for completely automated public Turing test to tell computers and humans apart. Okay? In short, this type of program is used to identify if the user is a human and not a bot. Okay? So if you will see here, security questions include a puzzle piece, typing down the words that you can see on your screen, or selecting an image. So for example, select all images with an orange. Okay, so as a human, can you identify which among these pictures has a picture of an orange? I hope yes. No? So that means you are a human. Okay, so whenever you encounter this one, it is also imperative for you to answer this no, as part of security. Okay. Next one, we have ransomware. So ransom, no, where do we usually hear the word ransom? We usually hear the word ransom sa mga balita or sa news, no? Which involves kidnapping or hostage taking. Okay? So in cybersecurity or in the digital world, what can be hostage or taken hostage or kidnapped from us? If you're thinking of your files or your data, then you are correct. Okay, so ransomware, this one is very prevalent nowadays, no? It is a type of malware that holds a computer system captive while demanding a ransom. And there are four kinds of ransomware. First is the screen locker, which blocks the access to your screen. So when you try to log in to your device, a notification will prompt on your screen telling you that your computer has been infected with a ransomware. So you cannot access your device anymore or your computer. Okay. Another one is crypto ransomware, which encrypts data stored on your disk. So in this case, you can still access your computer, but there are certain files which you can no longer access anymore. Okay, so for example, you have this project in a Word file. You can no longer access it because it requires you to key in an encryption key or a password. And this password will be provided by the cyber criminal after paying the ransom. Okay. Another one is double extortion. This one encrypts files and encrypts data or exports data to blackmail the victim into paying a ransom. So, this cyber criminal will threaten to publish the stolen data if you do not pay the ransom. Okay? So they will blackmail you that they will publish this data. Okay, so this happens also here in the Philippines. Oh, so a retail giant has been infected with double extortion ransomware, and they threaten this company that they will publish the customer information that were stolen from them if they are not going to pay the ransom. Okay, another one is pin locker. So this one targets Android devices. No, so even our Android smartphones are not safe against these type of malware. And then the cyber criminal will change your access code to lock you out from your mobile phone. So all these kinds of ransomware demand payment, and they most often request it to be made in Bitcoin or some other hard to trace cryptocurrency. In return, its operators will promise to decrypt the data or restore access to your affected devices or to your affected files. However, as for ESET, we need to stress that there is no guarantee that cyber criminals will deliver on their side of the bargain. Therefore, ESET recommends not paying the sum demanded. Instead of paying, our approach should be proactive. As the old saying goes, prevention is better than cure. So later, we will discuss some basic rules to help you stay protected, no, and to do some proactive approaches against these types of malware. Okay. So what are the common source of ransomware? Common sources of ransomware include infected email attachment or an infected website. But most of the time, we usually encounter this as an attachment. Okay, so I have here an example of an email with an infected attachment. Okay, as you can see, the subject of the email is invoice, as well as the file name of the attachment is also invoice. Okay, so these attacks are targeted. Cyber criminals target those who are most likely to fall victim to their trap. So these are the people who are not technically inclined, including you, including us. Okay? So it is very important for us to always think first before clicking or downloading any attachment, especially from an unknown sender. Okay? So what will happen if you click on the attachment? Let's say you're not aware that this one is infected with ransomware and you click on the attachment. So the attachment will automatically run and encrypt your data, if not your whole device. Okay? And then you will be prompted with this notification. So this one is an actual notification received by the victims of WannaCry ransomware, which has been one of the most dangerous, no, or impactful ransomware that happened in the digital world. Okay, so this WannaCry ransomware infected over 200,000 computers worldwide, and the cyber criminals demanded 300 and above worth of Bitcoin, $300. So imagine how much money did they make out of this crime. Okay. And as you can see, the cyber criminal will promise that you can still recover all your files safely, no, if you pay the ransom. But again, let's stress that there is no guarantee that they will restore access to your affected devices or to your files. So do not pay the sum demanded. Okay. Next one is Trojan horse. So are you all familiar with Trojan horse? Or have you watched the movie Troy or Helen of Troy? Okay, so Trojan horse is based from the story of Trojan War, where the Greeks built a huge hollow wooden horse to gain entrance into Troy. Okay, so the Greeks were about to lose the war, So they devised a plan. So they created or they built this huge hollow wooden horse. And inside this horse are the elite forces or the soldiers of the Greeks. So the Trojans thought that this Trojan horse is just a peace offering or a gift. So they thought this one is harmless. So they let this Trojan horse inside the city. Okay. And then the soldiers or the elite forces of the Greeks attacked the city of Troy. That's why the Troy has fallen into the hands of the Greeks. Okay. So why is this malware called Trojan? Because this Trojan horse disguises itself as a normal file or program to trick users into downloading and installing malware. So the cyber criminals will make this application or this program look like it is harmless. Okay? But once the Trojan has been downloaded and installed on your computer, it can give the cyber criminal remote access to your computer without your knowledge. Okay? And once the cyber criminal has access to your computer, it is possible for them to steal your data, like your logins, credentials, your cryptocurrency stored on your computer. They can also install more malware, modify your files, monitor your activity by using screen watching or key logging, and they can use your computer as part of botnets. Okay, and this will happen without your knowledge. So, what are the common source of Trojan horse? The common source of this malware are infected free games, applications, and movies downloaded from unsecure websites. Okay? So, unsecure websites include websites such as Pirate Bay or Torrent or any other unsecure websites. So I suggest if you're going to download applications or games, make sure that you download it from a credible source. Okay. And last one is virus. So this one is the most common. So virus is a form of malware that is capable of copying itself and spreading to other computers. So this type of malware is designed to infect other computers, just like human virus. So this one, it often spread to other computers by attaching themselves to various programs and executing code when a user launches one of those infected programs. So for example, you have a Word file that is infected with virus and you copy this file, transferred it to a flash drive, and you inserted this flash drive to another computer. Once you open and run this Word file into another computer, it is possible for the virus to spread to other files contained in the same folder. Okay? So the common source of this virus is hidden in programs or email attachments or files downloaded from the internet. Okay, so as you can see, all of the types of malware that we have just discussed involve the use of the internet. Okay, so we have to be careful, no? Although internet has its pros, it also has its cons. Okay, so we have to be careful when clicking links, downloading files, and downloading attachments. No? So we have to be vigilant and discerning as well. So we're done with the first attack used by cybercriminal, which is malware. Now let's move on to the second one, which is phishing. So what is this phishing? Phishing is actually one of the techniques used in social engineering. So this one is part of social engineering techniques. But we highlighted or separated this one because of the continuous increase in phishing attacks. So phishing is derived from the word fishing or nangingisda. just like what you see here in the screen. Okay. So what do you need to catch a fish? Of course, you need a bait, right? So fishing is the act of setting the bait or trap. So fishing artists or cyber criminal usually use emails as a bait. Okay, and then they will cast it out into a wide ocean, or they will send this email to random mailing recipients, and then they will just wait or hope that someone will bite into their trap. Okay. So now, with the rapid rise of phishing emails and their sophistication, it pays to take a moment to stay informed of some of the items you should look for within these phishing emails. Okay, so I will be launching our second poll question this afternoon. So I have here a sample phishing email. So once again, please scan the QR code that you can see on your screen or go to slido.com and key in the code 3775023. Okay? So our second poll question is, how many warning signs, no, or red flags can you see from this sample email? Okay? So I will just launch our second poll question. Okay. So I'll give you time to review the email. Okay, so how many warning signs or red flags can you see from this email that prove this one to be a phishing email? Okay, so from the options, we have 1 to 7. Okay. So let's see our poll question. Okay, so we have one respondent here who answered 7, and then another one who answered 3. Okay, how about the others? What is the first thing you have to look out for when you receive an unsolicited email? Okay, so thank you for participating in our poll question. So let's review this email. Okay, so I will be sharing with you some tips on how to spot a phishing email. Okay, first one is to check for the email address. Okay, so as you can see, this email is pretending to be from Microsoft. So, first thing to look out for is the email address that the sender is using. So, if this one is from Microsoft, it should use Microsoft's email address. But in this example, is it using Microsoft email? No. If you will look closely, it says here Microsoft.com. So we have to be vigilant as well when checking the email address, because the first part of the email address may be legitimate, like this one, notification, so no misspelled word, but no, the last part might be off by a letter. So in this case, instead of I, it is A. So Microsoft, not Microsoft. Okay. And also, remember that the domain name should always be at the right side of the @ sign. Okay. The domain name should be at the right side of the @ sign, because sometimes phishing artists will use the name of the company but will be using a different domain. So let's say Miriam College at yahoo.com. So for some recipients, they will think that this email comes from Miriam College because they have or it has a Miriam College on its email address. Okay, but always check for the domain name. Are you all familiar with the domain name that you are using, that Miriam College is using? It is at mc.edu.ph. Okay, so your domain name should always be at the right side of the at sign. Okay. Next one is do not click on attachments right away. Okay, so attachments infected with malware may contain intriguing message, like in this case, invoice process immediately. Okay, this one contains intriguing message to encourage you to open the email or the attachment right away without thinking. Okay, so if you see here process immediately, so I think, okay, I have to process this one immediately. Okay, but that's the goal of the cyber criminal or the phishing artist, to act on the message without thinking. Okay, so pause for a while and check if this is really credible or legitimate. Next one is generic greetings. So as you can see, or if you have read the email, this one concerns your personal Microsoft account and you are asked to verify your personal account. So this email should have a personalized greeting. However, in this example, the sender is using a generic greeting. So one way or one warning sign is to check for overly generic content and greetings, because cyber criminals will usually send a large batch of emails and it will contain generic greetings like dear customer or dear student, dear parent, or dear client. Okay. Another thing is poor spelling and grammar. Okay, so maybe you also notice the spelling of customer and other misspelled words here. Okay, so in an email, notice the misspelled words or incorrect grammar and odd phrasing. Because whenever a large company like Microsoft will send out a message on behalf of the company as a whole, the message is usually reviewed for spelling, grammar, legalities, and a number of other things. Okay, so if an email or if a message is filled with wrong grammar or wrong spelling, it probably didn't come from a major corporation's legal department. Okay. Next one is demanding actions. Okay. So look out for messages that use a sense of urgency or demanding actions. So in this case, please pay now or else your account will be terminated. Okay. So sense of urgency also includes let's say you won the lottery. Click now to claim your prize. Or you won a raffle draw. So click to claim your prize. So that one also involves demanding actions. Okay. So just like in the attachment, this one will encourage you to act immediately without thinking. And sometimes they make unrealistic threats. Like, for example, in this case, your account will be terminated or your Microsoft account will be terminated, but they don't have the power to terminate your account. Okay. Another thing to look out for is the URL. Okay. So this one is a mismatched URL. So how are we going to know if the URL or the link present in the email is mismatched? Without clicking on the link. One way you can check that is to hover your mouse pointer and see if the link's destination matches where the email implies you will be taken. So in this case, if you hover the mouse pointer on the URL microsoft.com/payment, you will see a small text box that contains the actual URL where you will be redirected. So you will be redirected to redirect-pretend/Microsoft.com and not to Microsoft's website. Okay. Check also for secure websites. So any web page where you enter personal information should have a URL with HTTPS, where S stands for secure, or this is what we call security layer. Okay. And last is asking for personal information. So this one is very important because no matter how official an email message might look, it is always a bad sign if it asks for your personal information. Okay? So if you are really a subscriber of Microsoft or a bank, let's say, they don't have to ask for your personal information because they already know what your information are. Okay? So now, whenever you received an unsolicited email from an unknown sender, please check for the following. So check for the email address, check first the attachments before clicking on it, check for the greetings used, and if it contains wrong spelling or wrong grammar, if it contains demanding actions, to encourage you to act immediately, and also URLs. Check for the URLs. So if it is mismatched, then it is probably a phishing email. So once again, do not click on the link. Just hover your mouse pointer on top of the URL. Okay? And also check if the email is asking for personal information. If it does, then do not provide your personal information. It is also probably a phishing email. So now let's move on to our last attack, which is social engineering. So social engineering is the term used for a broad range of malicious activities accomplished through human interactions. So this one uses psychological manipulation to trick users into making security mistakes or giving away sensitive information. So as you can see from the picture, it manipulates the victim. Okay, so these attacks happen in one or more steps. A perpetrator or the cyber criminal will first investigate their intended victim to gather necessary background information, such as potential points of entry and weak security protocols. Then, the cyber criminal will move to gain your trust or their victim's trust and provide stimuli for subsequent actions that break security practices, such as revealing sensitive information or granting access to critical resources. Okay? So there are a lot of techniques used by cyber criminals in social engineering. Okay? So these are some of the techniques used by cyber criminals. So as mentioned, phishing is a part of social engineering. So let's discuss this one by one. First is spam. Spam is any form of unsolicited communication sent in bulk. So this one, cyber criminals usually make use of emails sent to as many users as possible. But it can also be delivered via instant messages, SMS, and through DMs or social media. Okay? And then we have phishing, which we have just discussed, and spear phishing. Now, what's the difference between phishing and spear phishing? Okay, so let's just review. Phishing is a broad automated attack that is less sophisticated. So this one, phishing uses generic greetings. Um, Cyber criminals will just normally send this email to a random mailing recipients, and then they will just wait who will bite into the trap or to the bait. Okay? Whereas spear phishing is a customized attack on a specific employee or company. Okay. So this one is a customized attack. So instead of using generic greetings, this attack use personalized greetings. Okay. So they know your name or the recipient, even the details like designation or the company where you're working at, or your grade level, or your or the school where you study. So how do they get this information? So this information is available online on your social media account. Okay, so it is important for us to filter the information that we post online, because some information that we post can be used against us. Okay, next one is technical support scams. So this one are usually bogus phone calls or web advertisements in which attackers offer victims unsolicited technical support services. Okay, so this one, I personally encountered this technical support scam. So what happened was, while I was browsing on a website, there was a pop-up notification on my screen telling me that my computer is infected with a malware. Now, for me to remove the malware, I have to contact them, pay for their service to remove the malware. But of course, I did not contact them. I did not pay for their service because I have an antivirus solution on my computer. So if there is really a malware on my computer, my antivirus will do the scanning and will do the deleting. Okay, so I don't need to contact them for to remove the malware. So in reality, cyber criminals will just try to make money, or they will just extort money from you and sell their fake services and remove non-existent problems. Okay? So just rely on the security solutions that you have on your devices, whether on your mobile or on your computer. Okay? Next one is phishing, or this one is short for voice phishing. It uses fraudulent phone calls, or in Tagalog, this is what we call budol-budol. Okay? Someone will call you to divulge information. Okay? So this one is the modern day budol, and then they will ask you to provide certain information, or sometimes sensitive information, like applying for credit card, or a person will tell you that you are um eligible to apply for a credit card. Now they will ask for your bank account information. So that one is phishing. So once again, do not provide any personal information from an unknown caller or sender. And last is smishing. So smishing is short for SMS phishing. This one uses SMS or text messages containing malicious links or contents. Maybe you have heard of this before. That's why we are asked to register our SIM card, right? So smishing is also very prevalent nowadays. So I have here another poll question. So kindly scan again the QR code that you can see on your screen, or go to slido.com and key in 3775023. Okay, so our next poll question is, what will you do if you receive this text message? Okay, so let me just launch our poll question. Okay. So I'll give you time to review and read the message. So this one is pretending to be from a bank. Okay. So what will you do if you happen to receive this text? Are you going to reply stop? You're going to call the sender, verify with your bank, click on the link to secure your account, ignore the message, reply with bad and foul words. So, what is the best answer to this? Okay, so what will be the best answer? What do you think is the best answer? So, the best answer is actually just to ignore the message, or number five. Okay, but I'll share with you some do's and don'ts to protect yourself against smishing. Okay, so first is ignore the message. But if you are worried that your bank account has been compromised, you can contact the company supposedly sending the text message. So you can you can contact the hotline, or the number, the actual number of the company, not the number of the sender. No? And then you can forward the scam messages to reports smishing at privacy.gov.ph. Okay, so this one is managed by National Privacy Commission. So the NPC is keen on eliminating the smishing attacks. So by reporting the smishing attacks that you receive will help them minimize these attacks. Next one is consider using tools that filter or block unwanted messages. Okay, so there are anti-malware out there available in App Store or Google Play that can filter unknown sender or unknown caller. Okay, so they have a feature called SMS and call filter feature. Okay, then what are the don'ts? First one is do not provide your personal information or financial data in response to an unsolicited text or at a website the message links to. So if you are asked to click on a link, and then this link will redirect you to a website asking for your personal information, please do not supply any information. Okay? And also do not click on the link. Okay, especially if the message comes from an unknown sender, or something the message is suspicious. Okay, because they could install malware on your device or take you into a website that does the same. Next one is do not reply on the message. Even if the message says you can text stop to avoid receiving more messages, or sometimes when we get frustrated or annoyed, we we reply bad words to the sender. But refrain from doing that also, because once you reply to the message, it tells the scammer or the cyber criminal that your number is active, and it can be sold to other bad actors. So you will just keep on receiving smishing attacks. Okay? Next one is do not assume a text is legitimate because it comes from a familiar phone number. So cyber criminals nowadays use caller ID spoofing to make it appear that the text is from a trusted or local source. Okay, so you have to verify first. Okay, if you are uncomfortable with the text message that you receive, do not act on it, do not click on it, or do not respond to it. Okay, so we're done with the attacks. The common attacks used by cyber criminals, which are phishing, malware, and social engineering. Okay, so now how can we protect ourselves against these attacks? So the best remedy is to practice cybersecurity hygiene. Okay, but before we discuss this topic, the do's and don'ts in using the technologies or the best practices, let's have a 5-minute break first. Okay.
Thank you, Miss Tasha. We'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break. We will see everyone back for more valuable knowledge on safeguarding our digital landscape. Thank you.
Okay, so we're back again. So now let's talk about how to practice cybersecurity hygiene. So once again, these are the basic rules to help us stay protected, no, including our files and our important data. Okay, so these are some of the basic rules. We will also discuss this one by one. Okay, so first is keep all your software patched and up to date. Okay. So why is updating our software or the programs we use important? Because updates contain important changes to improve the performance, stability, and security of the applications that run on our computer or our mobile device. Okay, so in short, software updates is for security purposes. Because most of the time, an update is a company plugging a security hole in their program to cover up any loopholes or loose ends on the program that we use. And if you remember the ransomware attack that I mentioned earlier, the WannaCry ransomware, majority of the infected computers are using or were using Windows XP. Why do you think they were infected with ransomware? Because the software that they are using are outdated. Okay, so they have a lot of vulnerabilities. So there are a lot of entry points for the cyber criminals. So it is important for us to keep our software patched and up to date to remove any entry points or potential points of entry for the cyber criminals because these outdated patches can be exploited by cyber criminals. Okay. Another one is secure your password. So I'm sure everyone here is using a password. But how are we going to secure our password? One is to have a unique password. All right. So what does it mean? So when you are creating a password for a specific account, you should only use that password for that account. So meaning if you have let's say 20 accounts, no, including your social media accounts, your school accounts or your other personal accounts, okay? So that should have a unique password. Okay. So this applies for each account to avoid compromising multiple resources if linked. Okay, so let's say your Facebook account's credential has been compromised. So what will happen if you are using the same credentials for your Instagram, for your TikTok, even for your personal account, your school account, your Google account? Then your other accounts will also be compromised. So refrain from reusing your passwords. Next one is do not share your passwords. Okay, and also never show your passwords to others. And including those who are pretending to be a from the institution or from Miriam College. Okay? So your password is for personal use alone. Okay? So the best practice is to treat your passwords like how you treat your underwear. Okay? So you do not show your underwear to others. Same with passwords, you should not show it to others and also do not share it to others. Okay? Next one is use passphrases. So passphrases are passwords with 30 or more characters. Okay? So according to recent study by the US National Institute for Standards and Technology, the longer the password, the better. Okay? So nowadays, we tend to just create short passwords or 6 or 8 characters but contains alphanumeric and special characters. However, according to the recent study, this substitutions is very predictable. For example, what do we usually replace letter A? we usually replace letter A with the at sign. Or letter I. What do we usually replace letter I with? We replace it with an exclamation point. So these passwords are very predictable. That's why the US NIST is recommending at least 8 characters. So meaning 8 characters or more. But if you can, no, if it's possible for you to create a 30 or more characters, then the better. Okay? And avoid repetitive characters. If your password is 30 or more characters but using only one character, that is also not a good password. Okay? Similarly, any sequential characters like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or those recognizable patterns such as Q or T should be omitted or should not be used as your password. Next one, do not use common dictionary words. These words can be brute forced in a dictionary attack. So, if you are not familiar with brute force attack, this one is a hacking method that uses trial and error to crack your passwords or your login credentials. So they will just type random words or characters to try and guess your password. Okay, so this includes foreign languages or expert terms from different fields, like a famous boxer or famous sports or a famous athlete. Okay, and last is never use your personal information as your password. So these can be guessed by the attackers based on the information acquired from social media. Okay, so this includes your middle name. Sometimes we use our middle name as our password. However, our middle name, sometimes users also display their middle name on their social media accounts. Okay. Other personal information include your birth dates, your partner's name, or your pet's name. Okay. And these information are available on social media. So do not use this information as your password. Next one is back up your data on a regular basis. Okay. So this one is also one of the proactive approaches that you can do to prevent or to not pay the ransom that the cyber criminal is demanding if you are or if you have been infected with ransomware. But why is backing up your files important? For the reason that we do not know when will disaster strike. So disaster is not limited to natural calamities like typhoon or fire. Disaster is anything that disrupts normal business operation. So if anything goes wrong, make sure that you have a backup of your files. Okay, so you don't have to start from scratch again. Also, malware may corrupt or delete your data. So let's say your computer has been infected with ransomware. So what will you do now? Are you going to pay the ransom for you to gain access again to your device or to retrieve your files? So instead of paying, you should have a backup of your files. So you can just retrieve these files, seamlessly. Okay? And make sure that once you back up your files, you test it if it is working. And also, make sure that you save the backup or the copy of your files into a separate device. Okay? Like another computer, a CD, DVD, a flash drive, external hard drive, cloud services as well. Okay? Next one is use a reliable and multi-layered security solution. So there are malware that cannot be easily noticed by our naked eye. So to help us recognize, prevent, and remove this malware, a reliable and multi-layered security solution is the most efficient option. Next one is check the padlock icon and the certificate. So this one is important, especially if you are using your bank account credentials or your credit card account on an e-commerce site. So one of the common traits of a website that could be easily hacked or may bring the malware to your device is the lack of security on the website itself. So how are we going to know if the website that we are browsing or we are visiting is secured? One way is to check for the padlock icon. Okay, so whichever browser you are using, they should have a feature that has a padlock icon. Okay, so for this one, I am using a Google Chrome browser, and this one is the actual website of BDO. Okay, so this one, there is a padlock icon. So padlock icon signifies that the communication to the website is secured or encrypted. So it is safe for me to key in my bank account or credit card information because the communication to this website is secured. Okay? So always make sure that you are entering a website that wouldn't cause harm to your personal information. So I suggest check first if it has a security layer. So as you can see, it has letter S on the URL or HTTP, and then it has a padlock icon. And once you click on the padlock icon, okay, you will see the certificate. Okay, so for this one, I am using Safari browser, and this is the actual website of BPI. So this one, once you click on the padlock icon, you will see that the certificate of security is issued to the bank itself, to BPI. Okay, so meaning this website and the company BPI is one and the same. Okay. Next one is be careful of what you post online. Right. So there is nothing wrong to post updates about the significant events on your life. No? Especially if you have achieved something, you are out on a vacation. But always be careful on the information you put or post online. For example, your full name, including your middle name, okay? Your address, your company where you are working at, or the school where you're studying at, your grade level, okay? Because this personal information can be used against you, okay? So filter the things you want to post online. You can also manage your privacy settings on your social media accounts. So the social media owners, they are aware that their social media accounts are vulnerable to cyber attacks. So from time to time, they also update their privacy settings, their security settings. So as a user of this social media account, please review your privacy settings as well. Okay? So this will help you control who sees your account. And as much as possible, set your social media account to private, not public. Okay? Remember, once posted, always posted. So protect your reputation on social networks because whatever you post online stays online. Even if you try to remove it, some people might be able to have uh, taken a screen cap of it. Okay? And also, do not post your IDs online or anything personal. Okay? So keep your personal information personal. So be careful how much personal information you provide on your social networking sites because the more information you post, the easier it may be for someone to use that information to steal your identity. Okay? So we do not want to become a victim of identity theft. Okay? So avoid posting your IDs online. Now, your school ID or your government ID, refrain from doing that. Okay? We don't want to become a victim of identity theft, no? Just like what I've shared earlier this morning, there is a public school teacher whose name is Mark Joseph Lontok. He shared his experience in 2016 where he posted his PRC ID online on his Facebook account after passing the board exam. And then weeks later, he had discovered that he is in deep debt by 800,000 pesos. So imagine that. So we don't want that to happen to us. So for that, to prevent ourselves to that from that happening, we should not post our IDs or any personal information online. Okay. Next is to secure our mobile devices. Okay? So our mobile devices includes a lot of features. So we can do our virtual learning through our mobile phone. We shop online. We do our banking transactions online via mobile phone. So it requires our attention. We have to secure our mobile devices because it houses sensitive information. So how are we going to secure our mobile device? By doing this. Okay. So first is by using a strong passwords or biometrics. So strong passwords and biometrics features such as fingerprints or yung eye, no? Make unauthorized access nearly impossible or yung mga face ID recognition. Okay? So your passwords on your mobile device, as well as your certain applications on your on your mobile device, should have a password. 6 or more characters, the better. Okay, and also do not use the Remember Me feature on your mobile device, even if it's your own mobile device. Do not use Remember Me feature. So if you lose your device, another person might gain full access to it if you have the Remember Me feature. Okay? You can also consider multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication so that if your usual credentials got compromised, they will still demand for another method of authentication. Okay? Next is avoid connecting to public or free Wi-Fi. Okay? So everyone loves free Wi-Fi, right? Especially if we are not subscribed to a plan or our data plan is limited. However, cheap can turn expensive in a very devastating manner because most free Wi-Fi in public spaces like coffee shop or computer shop are not encrypted, no, or some malls, right? So these open networks will allow the cyber criminal to eavesdrop on the network traffic and get your passwords or your credentials and other sensitive information on your mobile devices. Okay, so make sure that you are using a secure connection on your mobile device and also turn off your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth when you are not using it. Next one is encrypt your devices. So most mobile devices are bundled with a built-in encryption feature. So if you're not familiar with encryption, encryption is the process of making data unreadable, just like what ransomware does. Okay? So they will encrypt your files to make it inaccessible. Okay? So this process will actually add another layer of security to your mobile device, especially if it gets lost or stolen. Next is install an antivirus software on your device. So the files you download and the apps you install on your mobile device might contain malicious code. So once you launch this application, this code could send your data to cyber criminals. Okay, so they can rob you out of your privacy or your sensitive information. So to avoid that, you can install a reputable antivirus application to improve your security. Okay? Next is keep all your applications and software up to date. Okay, so just like on computers, we also have to update the software or the programs that run on our mobile devices. So your mobile device firmware might also be vulnerable to security threats. As we've mentioned, there is no 100% secured software. So new loopholes might be exploited if we keep our software unpatched or outdated. So from time to time, review the software updates if it is already available and perform updates on your mobile device. Next one is keep backups. Okay, so we should back up our files not just for our computers but also for our mobile devices, because even after we safeguard our mobile devices, sometimes one mistake can cost us our contacts, our personal information, and our precious memories, no, with our photos and videos. So, if your mobile device is compromised, you risk losing all of this. Okay? So, keep a backup so you can restore all this data should your phone or access fall into the wrong hands. And last is be discerning. Or your best bet as staying safe is to err on the side of mistrust. Meaning, you should be vigilant when downloading applications or clicking links or sharing information to others. Okay? So that doesn't mean being paranoid, of course, but be discerning when you are using your mobile device. So it's all on your hands. Okay? So do not download software from unknown sources or from unsecure websites. Do not click links from unknown senders, and do not provide personal information to unconfirmed sites or people. Okay? If you receive an unsolicited message, do not provide any information. Okay? So another thing you can consider is log out. Okay. Do you log out on your mobile device? After using your mobile applications, it is also recommended to log out. Okay, so just in case your mobile device got stolen or lost, they cannot access your mobile or your applications or personal information. Okay, so this will be the end of my presentation. But before I come into conclusion, I just want to leave some key takeaways for our session this afternoon. Okay, so this one says make it a habit. So, 5 simple steps to staying safe online. So, first is know the risk. So, this one's it means that we have to be careful. No? We have to be aware that we are a potential target. No? So, no matter how technically inclined we are, or we are just a normal, regular person browsing the internet, we should keep in mind that we are all a target. Okay? So when we keep that in mind, we will become wary of downloading applications or clicking links from an unknown sender. Next is do not blindly trust any message you receive. Okay? So sometimes cyber criminals will take advantage of our kindness. Okay? So sometimes they will think that people will just click on the link or click this call to action button. Okay, so if you receive an email pretending to be from a company or an unknown sender, please do not act on the message right away. Okay, so check for the warning signs that I shared with you earlier, and make sure that if you think that this email or this message is a phishing email or a scam, just ignore it. Okay, so if in doubt, throw it out. Third is keep it current, or meaning update your software or run patches on your programs or applications, whether on your mobile devices or on your computer. Okay? Because software is not flawless. Okay? Next is play safe on social. So the key preventive measure here is to be sensible when it comes to divulging private information online. So once again, filter the things you want to post online and review your account's privacy settings on a regular basis. And if you can, limit those who can see what you are up to. And last is lock down your logins or your passwords. So we use our passwords for our personal accounts, for work or for school activities or school accounts. Okay. So make sure that the passwords you are using are secured. So again, choose strong and unique passwords or passphrases. Refrain from reusing your password and never share or show your passwords to others. Okay? So thank you for still connecting with me. I hope you found this webinar an insightful one. So I'd like to call on Sir Anthony Garcia for the next set of presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Desha. All right, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Anthony Garcia from ICTO. And today we'll be discussing about, for the second part of our webinar, we'll discuss about identity theft. Okay, so identity theft. What's identity theft? It's basically someone else trying to pretend to be you. Okay, so the actual act of pretending to be someone else or somebody else is, in strictest sense, dishonesty already, because in the first place, why would I pretend to be someone else? So with that, we can sense that there is an ill intention of doing something advantageous. Um, thus, the act of stealing one's identity. No? So for us to better appreciate what identity theft is, let's watch the video.
Hello, this is Sandy Patterson.
Yes, Mr. Patterson, I'm Janine from the Fraud Protection Department of Identivolt Credit Monitoring Service. We're calling today because unfortunately it appears that someone has attempted to steal your identity.
Are you kidding me?
Gosh, I wish I were. We did catch this in time, however, but I do suggest you taking advantage of our free Total Protection Plan, which safeguards your credit rating against theft and fraud.
Yes, please. If it's free, absolutely.
Just terrific. I went for this plan myself. Mr. Patterson, I'm going to need to verify some information from you. I'm going to need your full name, date of birth, and social security number, please.
Sure, understood. Here it comes.
Fast die young back goes to it well. 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 Change the child, bring them back on the dash. But what change the child, bring them back on the dash.
Oh, that looks good. That looks good. I lost my wedding ring. 15 years of marriage. Can you believe that? May I see your ID? Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. Sandy Bigelow, Patterson.
All right. Okay, so that's an example of what identity theft is and what it can do to the victim. But if you notice, the example or the video that we played didn't even include computers or hacking. So it's the usual style of not hackers, but by criminals. No, during the early days wherein they make use of a phone, they call you, they get in touch with you via your cell phones, pretending to be someone else, pretending to be a representative of a credit card company or your bank, and then trying to steal information from you. Does it still happen up to this very day? Yes. I've known a lot of victims wherein initially they thought they got hacked, but upon further investigation, we have learned that they gave all pertinent information to the person who called them, pretending to be someone from the bank. Thus, this person was able to get all, if well, all the money in the bank, no, using their online accounts. Okay, but then again, this type of schemes is a bit hard to execute as compared to the schemes nowadays, no, because most of us are online already. We have online banking. We have like everything is online. You apply for a loan, you apply for a credit card, you can do it online, and even the approval is granted via email. You're not required to personally appear before the bank, before the credit card company for you to get approved, thus making it easier for hackers to steal your identity and pretend as if they are you, right? Because there's no physical appearance anymore. No, it doesn't just happen in banks, in credit cards. It happened to one of the telcos, one of the largest telcos in the Philippines, wherein somebody pretended to be somebody else and was able to get or to subscribe to a phone, to a postpaid phone. Okay. So what am I talking about? I mean, how is this being executed online? Okay. I think most of us have been using or are still using a lot of social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. And if I would ask you how many of you have inputted your personal information, when I talk about personal information, I'm referring to your full name, your mother's maiden name, your birthday, your email address, mobile number, okay, the school where you studied or where you are currently studying, if you're already working, companies you have worked for, all of those are being inputted in these social media sites. Facebook, more so LinkedIn. Even the job description is in LinkedIn. Your position is in LinkedIn. They're hoping that it will be easier for you to connect with your peers, to connect with your colleagues if you divulge as much information as you could in these social media sites. But the trade-off is that the more information you post, the easier for not really hackers, but for criminals, cyber criminals, to get hold of your information and to steal your identity. Okay, so there's nothing wrong in using social media sites, but be careful on what you post. As what Desha, our previous speaker, said, once it's there, it's there. Even if you erase it, somebody might have screenshot it or took a picture of it, and it's there already. You cannot remove it anymore. So, and the information I've mentioned, personal information that I have mentioned, are exactly the same data or information that is being required by banks, by credit card companies as part of their validation. When you call them, they validate if it's really you, no, and they ask for your mother's maiden name and all of those stuff, the personal information I have mentioned. And if it's in Facebook, you don't need the hacker to steal your identity. Your friends can do it. Your friends in Facebook can do it. And more so if your profile is in public, then anybody who stumbles upon your profile will be, I mean, can steal your identity. Now, what will they do with your identity? Why will they impersonate you? It's because of the following. So it's a wrong notion that whenever somebody or whenever something happens online, you got hacked. No, majority of the instances, or a majority of the time, it's not the hacker that instigated the identity theft, but it's you. So it's us, no, because we have posted everything already online. I mean, the name of your child, the name of your parent, what's happening with your brother, important events in your life are posted online. Okay. Not just the important, not just the happy moments, but even the sad moments in your life are online already. No, you see a lot of pictures in wakes that are posted online. I mean, a relative died because of this at this hour, at this day, no, so on and so forth. Everything is online already. You don't need to do much research. So it's very, very easy for cyber criminals to inflict harm on us and to steal our identity. Okay. Now, why are they doing this? Because of the following. Unfortunately, cyber attacks translate now to physical harm. Okay. Like when I steal an identity of your teacher or the identity of the guidance counselor or the registrar of the school. If I pretend to be the registrar or your advisor, your class advisor, and I invite your child or you out for dinner, who will, I mean, nobody knows what will happen next. I mean, so that's the sad part of it. No, cyber crimes just doesn't remain online. It's being felt now. It can now inflict physical harm to the victim. No, so apart from safety, it can have a financial impact as well. Wherein if I steal your passwords or if I pretend to be you, because remember online, I mean, how can the system know if it's you logging in? The validation is just the password, unless you have activated the MFA and one-time PIN. Now, if you have your MFA activated, then the validation of the system or the program is that have you inputted the correct password and do you have the correct one-time PIN? No, if those match, then the system will assume that it's you logging in. So if I get hold of your passwords and you don't have MFA, it will be easy for me to log into your online banking accounts, withdraw the money, transfer it to my bank account, or transfer it to or use it to buy cryptocurrency, and you won't be able to trace it, because even before the authorities can catch me, I have closed the bank account already. And remember, we have a bank secrecy law. You just couldn't tell authorities to tell the bank to tell them who the account owner is. You need to go to the court, and how long will it take you? I have already taken your money, withdrew it, and closed my so-called bank account before you get to issue something from the Philippine court. Okay. Then next, last but not least, is your reputation. If I pretend to be you and I do something and I say something nasty, no, to your classmates, to your office mates, to your boss, no, to your wife, to your relatives, it can really ruin your reputation. So that's how dangerous identity theft is, especially in this day and time wherein everything is online. So you need to really be careful, you need to really be vigilant. Okay, now, the tips to reduce the possibility of identity theft. I'm not saying that if you follow this 100%, it's foolproof. No, there's no such thing as a secured network. There's no such thing as a secured system. What we are trying to do is just to minimize the possibility, but we cannot totally eliminate it. If you want to totally eliminate cyber attacks, don't use the internet, don't use the computer, which is impossible nowadays, right? So what we are trying to do in cybersecurity is just to minimize as much as possible the possibility of a successful attack, regardless of what attack it is. Like if it's an identity theft, ransomware, so on and so forth, we're just trying to minimize it. Okay. So first, set your social media account settings to private. If it's set to public, anybody can have access to it. It's like opening the door of your house, and anybody can go inside. So if you lose something, it's not the um, well, it's your fault because you have set it to public and anybody can have access to it, right? So second, do not post personal information. When I talk about personal information, I'm referring to information that when I put together, bits and pieces, when I put this together, it will help me identify who you are. Okay, that's what personal information means. So your picture, it will make it very hard for a hacker or for a cyber criminal to identify who you are by merely looking at your picture. Unless I really know you, I have a little bit of background of who you are, right? But by merely showing me a picture of somebody, I really wouldn't know who that somebody is. But picture combined with the real name, combined with the school where she or he went, will give me a fairly good idea on how to stalk that person, on how to steal his or her identity by merely calling the school. Okay. So be very vigilant, be very cautious, because once it's posted in social media, it's there already. Then third, be cautious in accepting social media friend invites or Facebook friend invites. I can pretend to be your classmate and send you an invite in Facebook without you knowing it's not your classmate. It's an attacker, or it's a hacker, or it's a cyber criminal. So be very cautious. Do your due diligence before accepting any friend invite. Okay. Use different passwords per account. Now, as mentioned by our previous speaker, if you use online banking, if you have Facebook accounts, if you have social media accounts, best practice is you use a different password per social media account. The reason for this is that if one account gets hacked, if your Facebook account gets hacked, at least your BDO, your BPI, your Metrobank online banking account is safe. Okay, because it has different passwords. Okay. The next, never use the remember password functionality. No, remember password is the same as not having any password at all. Okay, because you're not being required to enter your password anymore. So what if I steal your phone? No passwords will be required of me. So I'm free to access all that is in there. So be very cautious. Forget, uncheck the remember password functionality. Next, use strong and frequently changed passwords. If it's strong, but you don't change it always, it becomes useless. Okay. Use strong and frequently changed passwords. Best practice 90 days. Every 90 days you change your passwords. When you talk about strong passwords, it's not just a combination of numbers, letters, and alphanumeric characters. When you talk about strong passwords, nowadays, it's a password that looks like a paraphrase. What's a paraphrase? It's not just password 1234, but maybe you can, when you talk about paraphrasing, it's like, it's a sunny day today. I hope tomorrow doesn't rain. Then combine it with special characters, combine it with numbers. Okay, because the longer the password, the harder for harder for hackers to hack into it. Because the hackers wouldn't do manual. When they hack when they try to hack into systems, they just don't guess your passwords. There's a program for that already, and computer programs work in bits, one and zeros. So if your password is very short, it's easier for the program to guess it, using a lot of techniques. Okay. The next, do not log in to online accounts using public Wi-Fi. Public Wi-Fi per se is not, there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of malls, a lot of institutions would offer free public Wi-Fi. But then again, what we want to avoid is that a hacker would go into an institution, go into a mall, and pretend that the Wi-Fi that he has is the mall's Wi-Fi. If I go to SM, for example, SM Hypermart, okay? If the official Wi-Fi name of SM is SM Hypermart, and I go there and I have my own Wi-Fi, I'm a hacker, I name my Wi-Fi as SM Malls, how would you know which is correct, which is which? It will be very hard for us to know unless we're from SM, right? So avoid logging into your online accounts, using public Wi-Fi, because once you connect to the hacker's Wi-Fi, he automatically gets access to your workstations, to your applications without you knowing it. Okay. Then activate MFA because passwords would still give you the same level of protection, but it's not as safe as it used to be because of the advances in technology and how hackers would hack into systems. They make use of automated programs. Now hackers make use of AI already. They use AI to hack into systems, so it's easier for them and harder for us to protect. So activate MFA. A second level of authentication or protection is always better than just having one. Okay, then password protect mobile devices and workstations, just so when it gets lost, or if you're not around and it's there idle, somebody wants to use it, at least it's password protected. He just couldn't easily gain access to your files and information. The next, use different user profiles for shared devices. At home, we used to have like 1, 2 computers being shared across all the members of the household. If you use only one profile and that profile gets compromised, all your files, all the accounts gets compromised. So I would strongly suggest that you use one profile per user so that when one user profile gets compromised, the others is a bit safe compared to using one profile for all the members of the household. Then log out. No, make it a habit. Log out after every use. Okay. I know a lot of people who would leave their laptops open overnight, and you wouldn't know what will happen to the laptop when you leave it open. If there's what we call remote control, wherein hackers would install programs. It starts with a malware, and we use that malware to gain access to your computer without you knowing, and you will never know. Even the antivirus applications at times wouldn't be able to detect that because it's not a virus, it's a malware. And we have what we call zero-day programs or malwares that even the endpoint protection that we use to detect malwares cannot detect zero-day applications or zero-day malwares. Okay, so log out after every use. Turn off your devices after every use. Turn off your Bluetooth if when not in use. Turn off Wi-Fi when not in use. Okay, next, keep your documents, your IDs containing personal information and passwords from the public eye. No, I'm not just referring to online information being set to private, but even the physical IDs should be kept away from the public eye. Because as what we have shown in the video earlier, I mean the criminal didn't even need to access the computer, right? So there are a lot of ways on how we can steal the identity of another person. And it's not just all online. I mean, online makes it easier, but I can steal your identity by stealing your ID and making a fake ID out of it. Okay. Then report lost, stolen accounts or IDs to authorities. Just so when something happens, the authorities know already that your account has been stolen, that the ID has been stolen, and you won't be held accountable for what the hacker or the criminal might do, using your identity. Okay, next, securing your Google LMS account. Miriam College is using Google Classroom, and we want to discuss a little on how you can secure your Google LMS, especially that it can be accessed via mobile, it can be accessed by the students using any other internet connection, regardless of where they are. So first, you add your recovery information, just so when something happens, you get notified by Google automatically. If there's an unusual login, you get notified by Google. If there's no information here, then how can you be notified, right? So what do I mean by unusual logins? If you used to log in Quezon City and a login is detected coming from Makati, that's unusual, and Google will send you an email or a text message telling you that something unusual happened or was detected. An unusual login was detected. So from there, you can block off that login or not allow that login. turn on MFA or the two-step verification. Okay. Again, we cannot just rely in on passwords nowadays. It's better to have a second layer of protection via one-time PIN, via the authenticator application in your mobile phones. If you don't have mobile phones, if you don't have internet access, we have what we call backup codes, wherein you can write the one-time PINs, quote unquote, no, using pen and paper. Okay. Then share your file only to intended recipients. No, so avoid sharing it to everybody and avoid sharing it to the whole of Miriam College, because when we talk about Miriam College, we're talking about everybody in Miriam, including me, even if I'm not from the from your unit or department. I can gain access to your file if you share it to Miriam College. More so, do never share it to anyone with the link, because if I copy the link and send it to my friend outside Miriam, they can access it. So the best practice is that make it restricted, share it only to intended recipients. If you're submitting an assignment, share it only to your professor. Okay. So that's it for identity theft and Google. Thank you very much, and I'm turning this over to Jazz Velasco. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony. Also like to thank Ms. Desha for the very informative IT security information that you've shared. We'll go ahead and take a few questions. On your screen is the link and the QR code to send in your questions. So go ahead and check. And we probably can take a few questions because we're nearing our time. So first question, Sir Anthony, I could ask you this. What immediate steps should I take if I suspect that my personal information has been compromised?
Well, immediate steps. No? If you are part of an organization and that organization has an IT security operations team, immediately report it to IT, no, to your IT security operations team. If the company or organization doesn't have an IT security operations team, report it immediately to IT and report it immediately to the data privacy officer. A data privacy officer is required by law for all companies in the Philippines. No? So, but, well, realistically, not all companies follow. But if you don't have a data privacy officer, there is what we call the National Privacy Commission, which is part of the government that takes care of all breaches, of all cybersecurity related concerns, especially in relation to personal information. So be sure to report it there.
So one more question we received. How reliable are password holder apps? Nowadays, many people suggest to use password holders as managers of passwords in case we forget it.
It should be reliable, but the question is who developed it? Because how can we verify if it was developed by a legit organization or if it's hacker who developed it? Personally, I wouldn't entrust my password to any password holder application, because I know that the developer of that application can immediately gain access to my passwords. I'd rather use a simple notepad that's password protected to hold all my passwords, or a simple Word application that's password protected that only me can gain access to.
Thank you, Sir Anthony. I guess that those are the questions that we can actually take before we close. So as closing, we want to thank everyone who's joined us today at the IT Security Day. Your participation truly made this event a success. We understand the importance of your time, and we're eager to hear your feedback. So we kindly request that you take a few moments to complete the online survey. Showing on the screen is the link and the QR code. So if you can answer and submit. Again, stay secure and keep in mind that prioritizing IT security is crucial in today's digital landscape. Thank you and stay safe. Stay cyber safe.